All right, man, peace. Brothers, I've been stating for a very long time that this entire Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins, Jimmy Butler storyline was going to fall at the feet of Mr. Tom Thibodeau, and that he was going to get the blame for everything, as he should, because he has mismanaged this entire situation. Well, the owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves, Mr. Glenn Taylor, is confirming what I've been stating for a very long time. So they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
Just when you thought it was safe out in Minnesota, Dances with T-Wolves is back. Yes, the series got canceled, but it's like, you know how they have those viewer campaigns? People just can't get enough. And according to Jace Frederick of the Pioneer Press, Timberwolves owner Glenn Taylor said he believes, quote, they wasted some time trying to convince Jimmy Butler to stay, and quote.
What that translates to is that Tom Thibodeau wasted time lying to everybody involved. Because that is what I believe was occurring. Tom Thibodeau was lying to Glenn Taylor, telling him that he had the situation under control. He was lying to Jimmy Butler, telling him that he was going to accommodate him in his request for a trade. And he was lying to Karl Anthony Towns, telling him that, yes, we're going to trade Jimmy Butler, just sign the extension. So all fingers point to Tom Thibodeau as the reason why there's been so much confusion within the Minnesota Timberwolves organization. That is why I believe that he's not going to make it past this season. He might not even make it through this entire season.
Quote, probably would have done some things differently in retrospect. Paul, I mean, obviously hindsight is 2020, but What do you think of Glenn even putting this out there right now?
I think
what he's saying is that Tom Thibodeau mismanaged the entire situation. That's all he's saying.
I think everybody knew this. I mean, the way they handled it just didn't go right. I mean, some leverage some of this has to be put on him. Some of it has to be put on Tibbs. You allowed Jimmy Butler back into the culture after the things he said about the man.
No. Glenn Taylor did not allow Jimmy Butler back anywhere. Tom Thibodeau did, because he lied to Jimmy Butler and he lied to Karl Anthony Towns. So everybody was still upset because they felt like they were lied to.
Manning trade, coming to practice, taking over, just kind of hijacking the team.
Yes, he was trying to force the trade. He was trying to force Tom Thibodeau to comply to what he originally seemed to agree to.
You knew it was going to be toxic. And they tried to ride the ship with him and think they could just kind of talk him into wanting to be there. And it was just all around bad for them to come out at the start of the season like this. I think they should have just handled it early before the season started, and they wouldn't be going through all this right now. So, you know, Kevin Garnett, he has a lot of things to say about Glenn Taylor and his ownership qualities.
Yes, Kevin Garnett stated that Glenn Taylor does not know shit about basketball.
You know, I'm on the same page with him, man. I think something has to change, and I don't know if it's upstairs or on the sideline or who's responsible for all of this, but it's just not good for your young stars there. You know, going into the future. You know, I don't know. It's just something has to change, I believe.
You know, when I was on the phone with producer Steve prepping me for the show, and he told me Glenn Taylor said we wasted too much time, my reaction was, ain't a lot of me time, guys. It's
oh, really? Really?
Shaquille O'Neal should definitely be the representation for someone who always looks dumbfounded. Because he looks dumbfounded even when he seems to understand what's going on.
Really?
Glenn Taylor? You think so? You think you waited too long when the guy told you on April 30th, I want to be out?
End of the season, yes.
We had May. We had June, we had July, we had August. All this on, every time he has any conversation with anybody from the team, whether it's Tibbs or whoever, get me out of here. You think you spent too much time convincing? We had September, we had October.
Right, but Amin El Hassan, I expect a little bit more from you. Normally, you're able to see certain things that many of your other members on the panel are unable to see. I would expect you to understand that what Glenn Taylor is saying is that he allowed Tom Thibodeau to handle this entire situation because he gave him the title of coach and GM, and he fucked it up on all accounts.
So Glenn Taylor has said in interviews this week, he's been doing a lot of interviews this week, that he did not know, that even though he understands that Jimmy and Tibbs may have been having those conversations through the summer, that he, the owner, did not know until September that Jimmy wanted to be traded. Even then, however,
you own a team and you don't know these things.
Right, one could argue.
Right, but whose fault is that? If Jimmy Butler is not communicating with Glenn Taylor and he's only communicating with Tom Thibodeau, and Tom Thibodeau is not telling him, that means that it's Tom Thibodeau's fault, not Glenn Taylor. I mean, you know, it's always so funny to me when these people get on television and try to blame the owner and go back and forth with the owner about everything. every once in a while the owner is culpable. But here's what we do know. The owner is not going anywhere unless he decides to sell the team, or unless he's being put through some type of ritual that's going to act as a pretext for him to sell the team. So you can complain about the owner all you want. The owners are not going anywhere.
One could argue that even if you found out right then, it's something you might want to have taken a hold of. And again, this goes back to, we discussed it in the last... Oh, look at this quote.
Wow.
Another interesting quote.
We got all ideas.
I told you, brothers, in previous videos how upset Glenn Taylor was going to be about how many assets Tom Thibodeau gave away to get Jimmy Butler. And now this whole situation has blown up in everybody's face. But, fortunately for them, they were able to get back some pretty good pieces for Butler.
But okay. I know what you want.
All right, so again, this goes back to my comment in the last.
And most importantly, they were able to restore Karl-Anthony Towns' peace of mind. So we'll see how good a player he really can be right now.
Last segment, you were the owner that empowered Tom Thibodeau to basically have the keys to both sides of the organization, and in this case, the guy who made this trade dealt away Zach LaVine, who's been playing like an all-star early this season, Larry Markkinen, who's out, but of course showed so many promise as a rookie, right?
Zach LaVine has been great so far this season for them.
So you're the one who gave him that power to do these things, especially when, as the coach who wanted to still coach Jimmy Butler, you knew that that would be at odds, well, angel and devil on either side. I mean, when you listen to Glenn Taylor bring up the Chicago Bulls trade, do you think Tibbs' fate is just sealed regardless?
Yeah, it's not a hot seat. It's literally just an open flame under him.
Yeah, it's a volcano that he's sitting on. He's done.
Right now. That's what that is. He's basically going through and second-guessing everything that his coach/president did over the last 12 to 15.
Of course, because he does not trust him anymore. He doesn't trust his judgment because of the trades that he's made, and he does not trust his word because pretty much he's been proven to be a liar, as far as I'm concerned, if you pay very close attention to certain elements of this storyline and how they've emerged. It's very obvious to me that Thibodeau has been lying to Jimmy Butler, to Karl-Anthony Towns, and to Glenn Taylor over the course of this entire storyline, this entire narrative.
15 months. That's where we're at right now.
He gave the guy both jobs. That was his decision.
And you know what?
Right, he's about to take both jobs away too.
You know what? I don't know where that comes from. I wonder, are these teams just saying, look, I want Tom Thibodeau because I think he's one of the best coaches in the league. And if this is the price to get him, then you do it. We know how Doc got his. Doc got his because the team had a leadership void during the whole Donald Sterling thing. We know how Pop got his because he was actually the GM before he was the coach. And we know how Pat Riley got his when he was doing the coaching part. But I just don't understand why this is going to be the logic for anybody to move forward to hire anyone to do both jobs. It can't be done.
Do you think, I mean, you know Tibbs so well, right? Yeah. He coached you in Boston. Do you think that he would consider doing what your other coach in Boston, Doc Rivers, did with the Clippers, and maybe say, okay, I'll stay the coach and someone else can come in, or Scott Lawson
I think that's what needs to be done because we have a good sample size of coaches who've done both jobs and it hasn't really worked out. So, when you look at the moves, when you leave out the picks they gave up.
But do you, Tibbs, do you think with sort of his pride or style, do you think he would do it?
Would Tibbs do it? Probably not.
You don't think so?
Probably not. I think Tibbs is one of the more stubborn coaches in the league.
Well, that's true.
And by the way, just because he wanted to do it, that doesn't mean anything. Stan Van Gundy sat here and said...
Let me say this very quickly. Even though Thibodeau traded away Larry Markkinen and LaVine and Chris Dunn, we're still not quite sure how good all those players are going to be quite yet. The Chicago Bulls have basically become a farm system for many other teams throughout the NBA over the past 10 plus years. So, well, I should say over the last 5 years or so, because they had a little stretch in the early 2010s where they were relatively competitive, pretty much culminating in 2015. But at the end of the day, we already know that Tom Thibodeau is on his way out. That's what this all sums up to.
Said I offered to be like, okay, y'all do the front office, I'll just coach.
Right.
But ownership decided they wanted a new voice, and the problem is when you make decisions on both roles, it's hard to separate. So if players are looking at you like, man, you didn't trade Jimmy Butler, you kept him around, da-da-da. He said, well, I'm not the GM anymore. It doesn't matter. You're still the dude that made those decisions.
Right. And you're still the dude that's watching those guys play in Chicago. Our league
But anyway, that's basically it on that. And when I say that, I mean Tom Thibodeau's career with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And he has to be very, very careful because these owners, they talk to one another. So if Glenn Taylor starts going around and talking about how Tom Thibodeau is not a man of his word, It's going to make it very difficult for him to attain another head coaching job in the NBA. We also have to remember that he fell out pretty hard when the Chicago Bulls let him go. So peace.